My hometown of Halesowen, near Birmingham, is where I grew up and where I chose to raise my own family. And I love it. I've lived there all my life, so when I have to add the scene of another homicide to my mental map of the place, it hurts. I do my best to keep pain and grief outside my home, just as, on those rare occasions when I've come back in my work boots, I leave them outside the door to avoid tracking even one infinitesimal fleck of matter from a crime scene into the house. But nowadays, when I walk or go for runs around where I live, or when I'm driving my daughter to school or going to Asda for the weekly shop, I'm constantly reminded of the crime scenes I've processed here. As I pass the local postman or wave at a friendly neighbour, I'm also seeing all the dead bodies I've touched so intimately and spoken to so tenderly before placing them into their body bags, closing the zip over their expressionless faces and sending them off on their final journey. I'm thinking too of all the ordinary people who left their ordinary houses one day and came back as killers. But it was not always like that. When I was a little girl and a young woman, growing up and coming of age in the 1980s and 90s, Halesowen was just home. We, Mum, Dad, my big sister Debbie and I, lived on a 1960s estate. It was a nice place to grow up because our street was a cul-de-sac and kids could play outside without having to worry about the traffic. The general perception was that the area was safe. During the holidays, we children often left the house straight after breakfast and came home only when we were hungry. I expect that bad things were going on, but nobody knew about it because there was no social media or instant news. We were free-range kids, blissfully unaware of dangerous guys with knives and all the terrible things that can break a family apart. And we loved it. Nan Marie, Mum's mum, who lived in Birmingham — my grandfather died before I was born — and Dad's parents, Nan Doris and Grandad Frank, were very important in my young life. I was a completely normal kid, exceptional only for my height — I've always been very tall — and for my obsession with sports. I started running when I was 8, and Dad encouraged me to join Halesowen Athletics Club. I loved the feeling of the wind on my face when I ran, knowing that I was faster than everybody else. I also loved thinking about what my body could do, about how my muscles propelled me forward, how the tendons connected my muscles to my bones, and how, underneath it all, my skeleton was keeping the whole show on the road. I could see how exercise made my muscles change shape, making them visible beneath my skin, making me feel strong and powerful and at ease with my physical self. I liked it when I ran hard and could feel my heart pounding in my chest, my pulse beating a rhythm at my temples. I've always been very interested in bodies and how they work. The same year I joined the athletics club, 1981, Dad was made redundant. He was out of work for about 2 years. Mum picked up some work cooking in an old folks' home to make ends meet. We had to tighten our belts, and I had to exchange tokens for school dinners. It was a difficult time. I found a lot of comfort in staying with Nan Marie and her dogs in Birmingham. Dad tried to be positive. He spent a lot of time bringing me to sports events, and I have fond memories of our long drives and intense conversations. He started to get involved in umpiring. We became very close. I think Dad saw me as the boy he never had. Sometimes he talked about one of his big regrets in life, that he'd not become a police officer. He had been rejected because of his flat feet.